think a lot of us mistake worship for just or only singing, raising your hands, shouting, speaking in tongues. That's not necessarily the only way to worship or the way to worship. Worship is the things that you do in private. Worship is the things that you do in secret. When you worship God, you should be resisting the things that cause you to sin. Let's say, for example, taking drugs, pornography, or overeating, those type of things. You have the desire to do sinful things. Instead of giving in, you should be giving it to God. That's worship. If you're giving in to your temptation and your sin and then turning around and going to church on Sunday and praising and shouting and dancing, you're not worshiping. There has to be some substance behind your worshiping. There has to be sacrifice. There has to be something you're giving. Worship is costly. You're worshiping and it's not costing you anything. Is it really worship? Or is it just celebrating? Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with celebrating or worshiping in the way of raising hands, shouting, speaking tongues, going to church and singing hymns and stuff. If you're doing that in a lieu to resisting or denying yourself, your flesh, then it's not real worship. You're just going through the motions, going through the action. Worshiping requires sacrifice. True worship does. God wants you to sacrifice. Singing and dancing and doing all that stuff does not benefit you in the least if you are not giving your temptations, your desire to Him, if you're not obeying what He expects you to do, what He wants you to do to have a better life. And I think people misunderstand why God make the rules He do. Not arbitrary rules that He just came up with out of nowhere. There is actual substance, solidarity to those rules. There for you to have the optimal type of life. If you think about it in the way of do not have sex before you're married. Having sex with multiple partners causes you to have soul ties with multiple people. You start comparing your partners to whoever was your best or whoever was your worst, versus having one partner and growing in that partner in the confines of marriage and enjoying sex through that way. A lot of us are excusing the ways of sin, worshiping, praising God and stuff on Sunday versus being obedient to what He wants us to do.